So it's about to stream, so.
Okay.
We are live now.
Okay.
So it's about to.
Okay. Hello, good afternoon, good evening, good morning, wherever you're joining us from on this live Facebook session to climax our Data Privacy Day under the theme, Own Your Privacy. This afternoon, and I'm saying afternoon because I'm joining you here from Accra, I'm just going to have some exciting conversation which we've captioned live with Facebook or Meta. And it's all about helping you understand how to manage your privacy settings on Facebook or Meta. And I have no other person than Dr. Ololade Shyllon, who is the privacy policy lead for Africa, Middle East, and Turkey of Meta. And she is going to help us understand what is Facebook doing currently or Meta. I'm still struggling. Ololade, I'm still struggling with Meta, Facebook. I think Facebook is stuck in my memory. So permit me to use, but I'll try and use that interchangeably. But really, we want to have our audience understand how they can easily navigate some of the privacy settings that you have, how you have given them access and control to be able to do this. And so I'm really looking forward to having this conversation with you. And at some point, we'll also bring in our audience to ask of you questions that they've been struggling with on your platform. So without much ado, I'll just give you a brief moment to maybe introduce yourself, tell them where you're coming from, what you do, and then we can delve right into our conversation this afternoon.
Thank you so much, Teki. Good. So for me, it's evening, but I'll say good afternoon anyways. Good afternoon, good evening, everyone. It's such a pleasure to be here on this International Privacy Day for 2022. So my name is Ololade Shyllon. I'm proudly Nigerian. I of course work with Meta. I've been with Meta for about 2 years now, and I'm based out of the Dubai office. I'm currently in Dubai. Yeah, and at Facebook, I lead a privacy policy for Africa, Middle East, and Turkey, and that essentially entails, engaging with people like you, Teki, and external stakeholders to understand, better what concerns they have about privacy and to feed all that back into the company and help us to better improve the privacy of our users. That's in a nutshell what I do. I think you're on mute.
Thank you very much for that brief video. I'm just seeing a whole lot, Lula, and it's getting me even more concerned and worried about whether or not, so I'm one of those Facebook addicts, right? And I always say that, and we're sharing a lot, we're using it for the social activities. Just before we started, you saw me laughing at something somebody had posted and all of that. So we enjoy using the page. However, we know that there are consequences to using the page, and sometimes we have difficulty navigating some of your privacy settings. So I would really love to hear a lot more, because in as much as I'm addicted, I am also one of those that know that, you know, once you get on there, you're kind of stuck. You know, apart from the addiction bit, you're stuck there. And somehow I believe, you know, that the only way to own your privacy is to maybe stay out of all these platforms, including Meta. So please tell me that I can still own some level of my privacy, and how can I do that?
Thank you so much, Teki. Absolutely, you can most definitely own not a little, but a lot of your privacy. So I think before I jump into like the practical tips in terms of the privacy settings that we have, I wanted to just share very briefly, you know, how we think and how we approach privacy. And this is embodied in our privacy principles. And of course, much of what I will talk about now are, if you're very familiar with the privacy data protection, you know, framework that we find across the region, even globally, you will see that they are mainly the rights of data subjects, otherwise known as you and I, individuals, and also the conditions of processing, lawful processing of data. So we put all that together and we bring that to life in our privacy settings. So I'll run very quickly through our principles. So the first one is that we give you control of your privacy. And that is essentially allowing you to make your own choices. So we tell you and we show you where to find all the controls. And we leave it to you to then go in there and make the choices that actually best suit you, because we know that privacy means different things to different people. And so it's up to each person to make the preferences and the choices that they feel will be suitable for them. We also help people to understand how their data is used. And that is essentially what you'll find in privacy policies, you know, what are the data practices that exist. So things like, you know, what kind of information do we collect? How do we use and share such information? How do we work across the Facebook group of companies? All that information you'll find in the data policy. And we have other principles like, you know, we design privacy from the onset. Of course, privacy shouldn't be an afterthought. Otherwise, if you bring it in only at the end, then most likely you would have missed a lot of opportunities to ensure that, you know, you embed privacy into whatever product it is. We work hard to keep information secure. There's never an end to it, to maintaining security across our platforms, especially on Facebook in particular. Very important, you own and can delete your information. So definitely, you bring your information and it's entirely yours, and you can decide, you know, what to share with whom, and it can also change your mind about, you know, who you share the information with. I will go through in more detail some of the settings that you can use in terms of, you know, exercising ownership and also to delete your information when you feel like you need to do that. And also, of course, improvement is constant. We can never rest. Nobody can ever rest around, you know, privacy issues. And finally, we ensure we have comprehensive privacy reviews. And also, because we know we don't know everything, right? We're always trying to learn. So we engage broadly with policymakers, privacy experts, and others to sort of help for them to help us shape our data practices and policies. So having given you that very, you know, quick run through our principles, I want to share with you one key privacy tool that we have. So for those of us, I'm sure you already mentioned that you're addicted to Facebook. So definitely you would know where to find this. So if you open,
Are you sure? Are you sure? I know. I'm now good. I'm learning, you know. So
okay,
we'll see whether I'm good at it. So I have my Facebook opened and I will be working with you. So for those of you that are also on Facebook Live right now, I think it would be a good thing to follow us and be working with us. You know, let's learn something, because
absolutely. Okay, so if you go to the far right-hand corner of the page, there's like an upside down triangle, right? If you click on that, there's like a drop down, and then you will see settings and privacy.
Okay, all right.
Click on
So
that.
I'm using a phone, right? I don't know whether I can share my screen, but I think that my background is not allowing it.
Allowing you to, so I can't.
My background is not allowing me, but I'm seeing when you go into the settings with the phone, and I'm using a Samsung phone. Once you click on your Facebook, then you have your profile, and if you have other pages towards the bottom. But why is it at the bottom? That's the thing. Like I need to scroll all the way to the bottom before I see my privacy settings. And under there, I'm seeing settings, I'm seeing device requests, recent history, the mobile center, and then find the Wi-Fi. So just
no, there should be, okay. So I mean, I must admit that, so the information I'm giving you is not from a mobile device, it's really from a desktop. But of course, one is constrained. When you're using a mobile device, you're more constrained in terms of, the design. But if you're using a desktop, if you go to the far right-hand corner, there's an upside down triangle.
Okay.
You click on it, and then you see settings and privacy.
Okay.
When you click on that, you then see, a range of things, but the two important ones I wanted to flag are privacy checkup and privacy shortcuts. So the most important one that I want to talk about now is privacy checkup.
Okay.
So privacy checkup is something that we actually, released as far back as 2014, but of course we've improved on it since then. So in 2020, we revamped it and sort of broadened the categories of, controls that you will find there. So, so it's essentially meant to be a tool that you use to frequently check. It's almost like Facebook privacy hygiene. Let's call it a Facebook privacy hygiene tool. That you use to try and get a sense of, what your privacy settings look like.
So yeah, Lola, just to help, just a minute, I think I found it just to help our audience. So if you have a phone, and I think you go into your Facebook profile settings, if you click on the right-hand corner, you get to menu, and next to the menu, you would see this, the settings sign. So once you click on the settings, you have accounts, and under accounts, you have personal information and account password, then you have payments, and then there's something that is called privacy checkup. I'm seeing that here, but you see, I'm learning because I don't think I have really used this before. So just go ahead. I'm doing my privacy checkup now.
So like I was saying, privacy checkup is really like, something you should practice as often as you can. And the good thing about it is that when you look at it, it actually tells you when last you changed or adjusted your privacy. I mean, for me personally, I try to do that every 2 months at the very minimum, but of course it doesn't mean that I always get to it. So obviously I encourage everyone. Sorry?
Are you on Facebook?
Of course I am. I've been since 2007.
But you've been hiding well. I'm gonna look for you. Maybe you have better knowledge of the settings. So yeah.
Well, I guess so. So under privacy checkup, you have 5 big buckets, categories of controls that you can use. And I would like us to go through them very quickly so that we can sort of get a little more practical.
Yeah.
So the first one is who can see what you share.
Yeah.
Which I know is something people are very interested in. So you will see 3 buckets of information there. Your profile information.
Clicking it now, trying to see. Okay. So it says profile information.
Yes.
Post and stories, blocking. Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah. So I mean, essentially here, it lets you have a sense of, what people can see when you share things, and like your profile information. So who can see things like your email address, your date of birth, your relationship status, where you're currently residing, your work and your friends, and also who is following you, things like that. And then it gives you the room to decide who can see it. And then there's like 5 ranges. There's a 5 kinds of things you can do. So to select the password. So it could be public. That means like literally anyone and everyone can see it.
Yeah.
Even if they are not on Facebook.
Yeah.
Right? Then it can be your friends, people who have made a request or you have requested for them to be friends and to connect with them.
Okay.
But then you can also then, because you might not want to share these things with all of your friends.
So I'm seeing that, okay, in my case, email address is only me. I'm the only one. So these are already there. Okay, I try to tighten my email addresses are only me. Date of birth is only me. Year of birth is only me. Education, my friends can see. So my university education, my friends can see, which means that I can even restrict, who can see my university education, who can see my secondary education, which is also there. And then friends and following, it says who can see your friends list on your profile. So that one has friends there. I'm thinking I may change it, but just go ahead. Yeah.
But beyond just saying friends, you can say friends except
I tried that some time ago. Yeah, I tried that, but I have I think 1,000-something friends. Which friends I don't know anyway. And the last time I tried that, you have to then be very specific. So I think I stopped halfway because then it was becoming difficult on who to pick. And
Or you can actually select specific friends that you want to see. So it might be 5 people that you think, okay, these are fine, and I'm fine with them seeing all this data about me. So it really gives you the control and choice to determine exactly how you go about it. And like you, I have all this is only me, like right across the board.
You are hiding. Everything is only you.
Everything is only me.
No wonder I can't see
right?
you.
You have a choice to determine what you do.
Okay.
Yeah. And so you also have a bucket that talks about the posts, your posts and stories.
Stories, yeah.
Yes. You can determine exactly who can see them, your past posts, your future posts, people but the reality is that if people are tagged, right?
Yeah.
They will still see it. It's not as if then it just becomes it goes into oblivion. The other important control is blocking.
I like blocking.
And once you do that, they can no longer see what you post on your timeline. They can't tag you. They can't invite you to any group or any event. They can't even start to have a conversation with you. And of course, the most important thing is that we don't tell the person that your friend has blocked you. Otherwise, it defeats the entire purpose, right?
Okay, I don't know why, but in my list, I have 2 people that are blocked. I don't know what happened to them, but yeah.
Sometimes we do it by mistake, right? Like,
I don't think it's mistake, but I don't know why I blocked them. I'll go and find out,
That's entirely up to you. So
I think I need to upgrade it to more people.
So that's the who can see what you share bucket, right? We also have the how to keep your account secure. Very, very important. And there are 3 buckets there as well. So one is about your password.
Yeah.
And of course, we try and say to you, think about these things. Don't use the same password you've used elsewhere, on Facebook. Of course, I know that might not necessarily be easy because you find yourself having literally 50 different passwords for 50 different things. And then you're struggling to remember. But the chances are, if you use the same password across everything, once it's compromised somewhere, then that means, whoever the bad actor is has access to all, your life online, which can be extremely problematic. So that's why we say don't do the same thing across, all your online accounts. And of course, it's important to make sure that your password is strong. Not 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or your name. And then, it has to be something that you can easily remember. Okay. But it's hard for other people to be able to guess.
Okay.
That's what we advise. But of course, it's really up to you to determine exactly
how
password
you want it. Yeah.
Yes. We also allow users to turn on two-factor authentication to give like
Okay.
an added layer of security, So if you turn this on, and it's up to you, you don't have to, we will ask you for a code when we see you, try to log in, when we send in login from a device we do not recognize or a browser that we do not recognize. So you can do this via SMS, or you can use some of these authentication apps like Duo Mobile. I'm not sure if if people are aware of those apps. One nugget I want to add is that you cannot reset your password with the same number you use for two-factor authentication.
Okay.
Otherwise, essentially, there's no point, because if someone gains access, maybe your phone, and they gain access to your account, and that means they can then reset the password with the phone number, and then be able to access your account without anyone even suspecting. So you need to have a separate email address or phone number from what you've used to register with the service. And then the last one in that bucket is login alert. So if someone logs in, or if we just see a strange login from a location that is like out of like that is not something that we recognize, or a device that is not one of the devices that you typically use, then you get an alert to say someone has logged into your account from Timbuktu or the ends of the earth. Is it you? And if it's not you, then of course you can take action to protect your account. Another key thing is how people can find you on Facebook, and there are 3 buckets here as well. So for friend requests, who can find you? Who can send you requests? Is it anyone, like literally, whether they're on Facebook or they're off Facebook, or is it only the friends of your friends that can, through your friends of their friends, that they can actually find you? Can people find you using your phone number or email address? It's entirely up to you. Can people find you using search engines? So like, just for example, they Google you, your name, and then they can find you on your Facebook account. You can turn that on or off. It's entirely up to you. But the reality is that people who are on Facebook can still search for you, right? So if you're all on Facebook, we are assuming that you are there to connect and to network. So if you're on Facebook, you can search for people and you can find them. But of course, you have other layers of protection that you can, for example, if someone tries to connect, you can block the person, right? Even if they find you, or you can refuse. I mean, before even blocking, if they send you a friend request and you just refuse to accept the friend request, and if you do that in error, you can block them so that they have no access to you or to anything that you're doing or any of your information. We also have a bucket that talks about your data settings. I wanted to flag here that we used to have 2 kinds of information under here that we used to give you control over in terms of facial recognition, but also apps and websites. So if you're one that uses Facebook to log into other apps or websites, this will be relevant to you. So it tells you what apps and websites you've used recently to log into Facebook, and to sort of disconnect that connection that you have created if you want to do that. The second one, which no longer exists if you check now, was facial recognition. And we made an announcement, I think late last year, maybe November or October, that we were shutting down this from an internal server-side facial recognition system. Previously, that was used for things like videos and photos to be able to tag people accurately, but that has been shut down now. And we also have, finally, the ad preferences. So, of course, I mean, as you know, the whole essence of this is to explain to people like Facebook's business model, which is personalized ads, and how you can then control settings around those ads. So, for example, your profile information. Can Facebook use that information to show you ads that we believe are relevant or you'd be interested in? So things like your relationship status, your employer, your job title, your education, you can actually determine whether or not that is permissible for Facebook to be able to use. So you click on it, or you click out of it to make that choice. There's also social interactions like liking your comments, what you share all that. And there, if you notice, sometimes you just see on your newsfeed, Teki likes, I don't know, this particular brand of bananas. You can actually choose not to have that show, so that if you like something, nobody can tell or nobody can see that you've liked that. So that's also, one of the controls that you have in terms of your ads preferences. So that's in a nutshell what you have in privacy checkup.
Okay.
And like I said, it's like quick privacy digital hygiene to get a sense of where you're at. And like I said as well earlier, it tells you when last you checked, so that you can know that, okay, actually I'm due for another flip through all this privacy settings.
Okay. And how often should we be doing these checks?
I mean, I think it's entirely up to you. Like I said, I try at least every 2 months,
Okay.
but life happens, you don't have time. But honestly, I think that's the easiest way to be able to have a sense of what your privacy is looking like on Facebook.
Okay. There are some questions, but I'll come to them shortly. But until then, I just want to ask you something. Are you guys listening to us? Because I have noticed this trend where I may not even be on Facebook, right? But I have a conversation with someone and then I mentioned something. Maybe I'm tired, I need a holiday, or I'd love to go to the beach or something. Then the next thing, I get on Facebook and I'm seeing all kinds of ads, pointing me to beaches and flights information and anything related to, holiday and relaxing and things like that. Are you guys listening to us?
Absolutely not.
No, I don't believe that.
I know there is that, thing people say, oh, Facebook listens to you, listens to your conversations. There is no such thing. So oftentimes people will gravitate towards what they're interested in. You've been thinking about flying. Oh, yes, I want to go on a holiday. So you've gone on a lot of websites, checked a lot of tickets.
So
right?
Does it mean that you're referencing other websites on Facebook? Is that happening? So that our digital footprint somehow.
Yeah. So some of these websites, like, so for example, let's say you go to like a holiday accommodation website,
Okay.
right? And you engage there. Some of what you do, even when you're not actually on Facebook itself, can actually be shared, by that website to say, oh, this person has been here, and then that information is shared with Facebook. That is why you then see those adverts. So it's based on your activity, like we said in that video, your digital footprint. It's not anybody listening to your conversations. And sometimes it's actually even, things you do offline, like you have, and we do this a lot, increasingly, you have loyalty cards for shops. You go to a shop and you buy stuff. When you do that, you sign up, they have your email address, they have all that stuff, right? And you acquire points. So let's say
that was not Facebook. So why is it showing up?
Let me finish. So this is the business. Like maybe they sell groceries, they sell bananas, right? So you go there, you buy bananas, and they now say, oh, wow, okay, this person likes bananas, right? And they then say, so what do we do? Personalized ads, right? And they then come and they say, oh, we want to show ads to, this. Of course, you would have given them consent, right? When you're signing up, you
usually
consent.
No.
No, but you must consent when you do all these loyalty things. You have to tick I consent for them to show you marketing material. Otherwise, then they are at fault, for not respecting your wishes. So you say, I'm fine to receive marketing materials from you, right? And you'd have given them maybe your email address for that purpose. And so what will then happen is they're a business, right? And they want to show ads. So they come and they say, these are the people want to show ads to. They don't give us anything that we can identify you with, right? Like your name and your number. No, it's things like an email address, right? And then that is then used to see if there's a match. Nobody knows who you are. Nobody knows nobody knows anything about you. And then they now show those ads on the platform. And they'll then say, for example, oh, we want to target, women who live in Dubai and are between 30 and 50. So it's not because they know you or they heard anything about you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the rest assured, nobody listens to your conversation.
Oh, I don't believe you, but we'll move on from that conversation. I'll wait till I have proof and then
Feel free to share any proof you get.
We'll go there. Yeah, but there's a question that national security is one of the most reasons to breach the privacy and data protection safeguards. So what is the minimum standards that should be respected in times that threaten national security?
Interesting question.
Yes.
And we could have a whole conversation, a 3-4 hour conversation about that. So of course, we know that, especially in Africa, national security is something that is often used to breach privacy, like the question says. Sometimes it's just used as a trump card because it's believed that once you say national security, then no questions asked. Exactly. Which of course should not be the case. There always has to be a balance drawn. So whilst on the one hand, there often are genuine national security concerns that might require for information to be shared. On the other hand, we also have obligations as a company. First of all, to our users, right? People give us that information because they entrust us with that information. And if you do not take care of the information, then you are breaching that trust. But beyond that, we also have obligations, in terms of, business and human rights standards. We cannot, just go on a giving spree. So we have principles that we go about in terms of, when requests are made for data. So for example, nobody can just walk up and say, give me Teki's data. We just say, oh, here, take it. No. It has to conform with very specific principles. In particular, we know we always find tension around law enforcement because that's where you link national security, right?
Yeah.
And so it has to be, there are certain criteria that we will follow. It has to be like a legal request. It can't just be anyone walking in. It has to be someone who's authorized. So law enforcement has to be the ones requesting for this information. They must come with a legal process, right? The subpoena, something. The normal process, that meets all that criteria. So we try and ensure we balance, the security of, national security and security of people, but also with the interests and the privacy of our users.
Okay.
It's always a balancing act.
All right. There's another question. I think we kind of answered that, but not directly, saying that he wants to ask whether it is advisable to change your secret password every 3 months, or in case it's a strong one, he says, it can remain for a longer period.
Absolutely. I mean, okay, this is my experience. When I change my passwords, often I forget. I forget them. So as long as, for me, if it's not been compromised or something hasn't happened, then I use the same password. As long as it's a very strong password that I know that, people will find very, very difficult to guess. But of course, if you suspect somebody has had access, to your account or would have access to your password, then of course you need to change it immediately. So it's really it depends on what works for you. If it's strong, you keep on using it. I mean, I have passwords I've used. Actually, my Facebook password hasn't changed since I joined Facebook in 2007, because I haven't felt the need to change it. So it really depends.
Okay. Thank you. There's another question. It says AI has adverse implication on privacy. How can we protect? Let me see that. How can we? Oh, this thing keeps moving. So how can we protect our privacy in the times of AI? I believe. It says that AI has adverse implication on privacy. How can we protect our privacy when it comes to AI? I believe that's what the question is.
Okay, I mean, I think part of what we've been talking about.
And one of the questions I wanted to ask, maybe because it's still related to the AI space, right? How is AI built into Facebook or Meta? Because we're talking about a particular product and how we interact with it, and how can we protect ourselves in that sphere?
Okay, so I mean, as you can imagine, a platform of the scale of Facebook, it's not possible to have eyes of human beings monitoring for all the kind of things that you need to monitor. And so we have to rely very heavily on AI to be able to check the content and if things are flagged. So for us, the goal is not to wait until things go wrong, is to proactively catch things before they actually go wrong. So for example, coordinated inauthentic behavior, people using the platform for untoward things. We try and make sure that before actually, so for example, if it's imagery of, let's say, child sexual exploitation, that once that is it's identified as having been problematic, you shouldn't be able to see that same image again. So if someone tries to upload it, then it should not even be allowed to come up. That is the work of AI. And so that is what has helped to greatly improve safety and security on our platforms. There is no way, even in terms of like content, there is no way, like I said, ordinary people, eyes can catch every single thing and be able to make sure that everybody's safe and secure on our platform. So that's where it comes. The fact also is that sometimes it's not enough to just catch that. You still need to then have human beings to then make the final call, because there has to be that human touch to be able to understand, because some things are happening in specific contexts. So if someone says a particular word, you need to understand the context in which it is being said. So you still then need another layer of actual human beings looking and assessing and deciding, okay, this is, this actually is contravening maybe a community standards or on whatever aspect of the standards, and then decide what we need to do. So it's a two-way thing.
Okay, so on the side, obviously, if it's AI that is monitoring all these statements, right, then AI knows that it is Teki that is saying this. So with time, is AI not really understanding who I am, the kind of words that I use, and how do I control or protect my privacy or own my privacy in that space?
So I don't believe AI knows it's Teki. It's used for very specific things, right? So it's not as if you have just one massive box of AI and then says anything that has to be Teki, X, Y, Z. No, obviously. So there are different things we use AI for. For example, underage people try and get on. How do you figure that out?
Yeah.
Sorry, my 5-year-old has come in. I'm in a meeting. Thank you. I'll close the door. Thank you. So for example, someone claims to be 18 or 19 or 20, but then the picture that they put up is clearly of a 12-year-old.
Maybe that's their son or daughter or something.
Or there are other things that you're seeing, that is caught, that is caught by AI. So it's on different things. It's not as if there's an AI big box, black hole, that takes care of, that is assigned to watch and monitor what Teki is doing and then take decisions based on that. No, it's used for specific things to help us scale for things that we know it can be done by like human hands or human eyes or human monitoring.
I'm going to ask you a hard question. Are you training your AI tools using our information?
Teki?
We can come to that later. I think that there are a number of questions that are up there. Let me just deal with the relevant questions, and then we'll come back to that. It says, can Facebook help block unexpected messages, calls, and video calls from Messenger?
So yeah, absolutely. You can actually, you know, there's so many things you can do. You can report. So if someone has been maybe stalking you or, you know, doing stuff, you can actually report. But also you can, I said earlier, you can block. You can block someone and prevent the person from contacting you.
Yeah, okay. So does that mean that, so, you know, somehow in a way, Messenger is in a way sometimes separated, right, from how we interact on Facebook? So does it mean that if I block somebody on Facebook, automatically that person is also blocked from Messenger and Messenger calls, video calls and all those?
As far as I know, but I don't want to give you wrong information, but I know that whether you're on Facebook or you're on Messenger, you are able to
It's the same platform.
Yeah, you're able to block, and you can also report any behavior that you feel is untoward.
Okay, so you have your answer. There's another question. Let me see. Does Facebook store biometric data?
No, we don't even have, like, what, we don't ask for biometric data.
So I think maybe he's looking at maybe something like the two-factor authentication. You're not using any biometrics? No.
No. It's just
okay, so it's
email,
not
phone number,
usually
SMS,
email, phone number.
nothing like that. Nothing like that at all. Yes.
All right. So if maybe, Derek, if you are looking at probably you use your phone, you know, you've created some kind of, then I believe what they're saying is that it sits on your phone. So you have to manage that data properly.
Absolutely. It's between you and your device in that regard.
Okay. There's a question, or is it a comment? It says the idea behind social networking is provide a platform for individuals across the globe to meet and share. It's very difficult for me to read on this platform. So can you practice data privacy without it affecting the concept of social networking? And if you can, what are the trade-offs that you should look out for, and how do you manage them? So he's saying that, yeah, social media, we're there to meet people. So if we want to block access, decide, you know, how do we then, you know, create that ecosystem that we want? And what are the trade-offs?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. I mean, like I said, privacy means different things to different people. Like for some, all those privacy settings are just a waste of time. Like, what's the point? Like, I'm here to mix and to mingle, you know? And for some others, like you and I, where we have only me as most of our settings on our profile information, clearly we're like, okay, like there has to be like a boundary there. So for someone like me, what I have experienced is, because of the kind of, you know, decisions I make or the choices I make in terms of my settings, I really, in terms of what I see on the platform, I really don't see. I don't see relevant things because I've blocked all the blockable stuff, right? So you can't show me things around, oh, my marital status or things like that. So I just see random things, but I'm fine with it, right? So it really depends on what you're on Facebook for. If you're fine with seeing random things and you're still having the conversations with people, you're mingling, and that doesn't bother you, that's okay, you know? So I think it's impossible to have, you know, a platform of that magnitude and not create controls for people, because there's no two people that will have the same kind of, you know, desires around their privacy. So I think you're over private and you have a different kind of experience, or you leave everything open and you have a different kind of experience. So it really depends on what you choose to do.
Well, Emmanuel, there you go. So she's saying that they've given you the control to decide how you want to interact on the platform, and the choice is then up to you to open up or close up or open up a little bit and decide, you know, the extent of your engagement. We have a question from Muriel. I hope I'm pronouncing the name right. Some people use their same phone number they use to register as their password. it is the easiest way to hack an account. I think that's just a word of caution from Muriel.
That's
Then,
interesting, Teki.
yeah.
Like, how will you use your phone number for your password?
Maybe they think that nobody can figure out what their number is, and yeah.
But we leave our numbers.
People
like,
are always finding ways of,
absolutely.
yeah, but clearly that's not a safe way, because your number is one of the things you normally give out.
Exactly.
As well. So you should just be careful, and can easily be associated with you. So it may not be a safe password to use. Yeah. And usually the safest password are a combination of symbols, numbers, and letters in, both the upper caps and then the lower caps.
Ones as well.
Yeah, you need to have a good combination of these, and that can help you create a good password.
Someone once told me that the best kind of password is to just write a full sentence.
Yeah, that's too.
I found that really interesting.
Well, but I'm sure there are tools that can crack that. Hopefully not.
Who knows?
I don't know.
Probably. But like,
maybe we need to ask the IT security guys. I don't know.
Exactly. So that's definitely not.
But from what I hear, anything is crackable. So.
It's just degrees, right?
Yeah. So going back, there's a question from Christ Beloved. Going back into the future, wouldn't AI get more of my information whereby the manufacturer can decode my info and data from 5 years to come, because AI might take over as technology is on the rampage? I don't know whether you understand it. I think he's just trying to say that, you're collecting information, and you and I have had this banter on another platform around your new ecosystem that you're building, and I can see Mark, talking a lot about it, metaverse. But I think it's something he's asking whether AI, whether these tools, I think it relates to the question I asked about to what extent are we training these modules using information from Facebook. And he's saying that if we're training modules using information from Facebook, would it get to a point where, he's essentially a profile of him, can be created using the information that has been collected over the time, and what are some of the implications?
Yeah. I mean, so like I said before, we do not do that. So the idea is to anonymize, because if you're going to use, even in research, right?
Yeah.
To make sure that, you protect privacy, you have different levels or layers of things that you do. So you can use large data sets, but without, putting it in a way that you can easily identify the person or identify the people. So we can use data, but not like we have like a profile of Teki and Teki's, hair and then use that. No, you would use different data sets that as it's being used, nobody can tell, this is Teki and Lola and XYZ to be able to.
Okay. But your avatars, are there. And they're being created definitely on the semblance of our images. So what is happening there?
As far as I know, I mean, so we don't have avatars on Facebook, right? You're probably talking about Oculus and things like that, right?
No, we have avatars on Facebook. Oh. It was
is it when you create the
Facebook?
These funny things where you create?
They're not funny. I mean, they look like me. They have a resemblance.
Well, okay, forgive me. I haven't done it. And I'm not sure about what it looks like, but I mean, this is just for fun, right? It's not accurate. And it doesn't have anything that links directly to you, in my opinion, that you should be concerned about. This is just stuff that people do for fun.
Okay. I had the impression, after seeing a number of those avatars, that it was certainly picking on the likeness. So there was something around imaging, but we'll come back to that. Okay. Somebody is saying, can a hacked account be retrieved?
Yes, there are processes there. So you report. Yes, so you report that, and then they'll get back to you and ask you to provide, because sometimes intruders will try and pretend that the account was hacked and they want to get in. So we have requirements. If you say your account has been hacked, you have to provide us with proof that it's really your account, and then there's a whole process, and then your accounts can be retrieved. So you need to report it. You go through all the steps, and then you'll be helped.
Okay, it says, can Facebook help block unexpected unexpected messages, calls, and videos from Messenger? I think we answered this. Okay,
yes.
So there are some other questions. Okay, probably this jumped up. I commend Meta for giving us the option to choose whether an account should be private or public on Instagram. Can't same be done for Facebook?
It's the same. So I'm not sure, I mean, what the person is talking about, because we just went through the different options you have, right?
Yes.
Like who and how can people see you? So either you allow search engines to be able to pick you up or not, that's up to you. You know, can people search for you using your phone number or your email address that they might have or not? So you have all that control, whether it's Facebook or Messenger or Instagram.
So there are options there. In case you missed it, Lola had taken us through the privacy, what do you call it again?
Privacy checkup.
The privacy checkup, which you can find in your settings, and it helps you really manage these things. So you can look at that as well to get more information, but you're able to, restrict who can access your information. Then there's a question from Princess that says, what happens to my data when I delete my account permanently from Facebook?
Okay, so it really depends on what option you take. So let me just run you through how it works. So we have under there's privacy settings, and there's also privacy, what's it called? Checkup. And there's another one I can't remember, where it has about your information. So we give you different options, right? Bearing in mind that Facebook, like we mentioned earlier, is interlinked with Messenger. So you can actually, disconnect, or sorry, like what's the word? Temporarily disconnect your account, right? Yeah, for a period. Also, we give you the option to transfer your data, because what often happens is people will maybe delete their account and then realize later on that they need something. So, right, before you even talk about deleting, you have the opportunity to we started this whole data transfer project where you can transfer to Google Photos or whatever, you transfer all your data, right? But if you now choose to,
so is it like you're transferring to maybe a drive?
Yes, Google Drive, Google Photos, Dropbox.
Okay.
So that at least you can have all your information. So it will tell you, for example, you have 50 posts and 50 pictures. Do you want to transfer them so that you can have them? Okay.
Can I decide what I want to transfer and what I want to not?
Yes, exactly. Okay. So you just
and in that case, is it permanently deleted? So once that happens, and how do I do that?
You need to do this before you delete. That's why I'm talking about this right now. Because once you delete, then like you can't walk back.
Okay.
Right. So you decide what you want to do. Transfer your information to an external, kind of place, photos and all that, or completely delete the account. Right. So once you delete the account, our position, if you read our privacy policy, says that we only keep data until it's no longer needed for the service that you've asked us to provide to you, or you delete your account. So whichever one. Now you delete that account, I think it takes, if I remember correctly, 90 days to have everything completely deleted, and that's it. If you want to come back.
So if law enforcement comes, let's say I use my account to, commit something, and law enforcement comes and there's an order from the court.
And the account has been deleted.
Yes.
What do we do?
After
it's
90.
Okay. If it's after that time, like
after 90 days.
Yes. Yes. Unfortunately, nothing can happen. Although there's also, and this is probably slightly different, there's also instances where maybe you request for law enforcement wants to request for some data, but they are trying, of course, we insist that you go through the normal legal process, and they feel it's going to take too much time. So they can come and say, we need XYZ data. Hold it for us, and we'll hold that for 90 days. So if someone now comes and says, I want to delete, at that time, of course we would not, because we've said, and we've said we're not going to delete until you get the actual process. So that's the only exception that I know of.
All right, that's great. Thank you. As for the questions, there are more coming, and we're getting to the end, but I think we can go over by a few minutes just to respond to all the questions here. What are some of the best ways to secure your account from hackers?
And yeah, I know we talked about this already, like password, strong password. I think that's very, very important. Don't do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, don't do your name, which is obvious. Two-factor authentication is very, very, very important. It's really an important added layer of protection that, keeps you safer. And the other basic things you shouldn't do, like the video that we showed earlier, you get an email from someone, like a random email from someone that you don't know, someone pretending to be the president of whoever, and they ask you to click on something. Don't. So this is not even a Facebook thing. This is just like, don't click on things you don't know, about. Yeah.
All right. Thank you. There's another question. I think it says, does Facebook intentionally make privacy policies difficult to comprehend?
No, at all. At all.
How have you done that?
So, it's really a struggle. And I think the reality is that privacy policies are documents written by lawyers for lawyers. And even some lawyers, you and I inclusive, will still say that we even struggle to figure out what the privacy policies are saying. But it's a requirement, it's a legal requirement that is often very complex. And finding that right balance between complying with this requirement and making it, comprehensible is extremely difficult. And in our experience, we've realized that it's not enough to give people even more information. You just get them confused. It has to be meaningful so that they can make the kind of choices that they need. So it's a struggle, and we understand that. And that's why you have these controls that give you practical tools to then give effect to what we said in the privacy, for you to understand the privacy policy, for you to understand what's actually happening with the what we call data policy now. So it's not intentional. It's just that it's a legal tool that often comes across as very, very complex.
Okay. There's a question. I think I have 2 more questions, and we'll call it a day. How is Meta dealing with sensitive data? Are there special measures to protect and respect it?
Absolutely. So when you log or you register, we're not asking you for sensitive data, right? Like, we just ask you for kind of information that you can share. One challenge that we face, though, is in relation to IDs and national, for verification purposes, right? We're increasingly seeing that a lot of requirements are being made that one should collect IDs as a matter of fact when people are creating accounts, which we sort of feel are very, very problematic. So what we try to do is minimize, we don't collect that at times of registration, and so we do not work with that. That's not what we require our users to provide. And we also try and push back against any kind of frameworks or legislation that requires us to gather or to keep sensitive data, like IDs and stuff. Of course, you have to have a balance, because if you want to also protect integrity and also minors and things like that, you must have a process. But asking everybody to share their IDs and things like that, we think is very, very problematic. But other than that, we do not collect that kind of data.
I have a question on that, because I don't think that is accurately correct.
Why do you say that?
Because people put all kinds of things on Facebook. I've seen people share very what we all call sensitive information, children's information, children's images, sometimes even health-related information, you know, on Facebook. How do you deal with that?
Yeah.
Or
so I mean,
because you, in your mind, you did not intend to collect these kinds of messages, so these kinds of information, so you know, you treat it as any other information?
No, I mean, under our community standards, it's clear that you should not be, you know, there are categories of personal information that you should not be sharing other people's information. So it really depends on if I, as a person, am the one sharing it, then you're sharing it. But now when you share somebody else's sensitive information, and that's
what
where
if
the problem is.
it's my child's information?
You share what, like a picture? People share baby pictures all the time. Or like what exactly?
Baby picture, let's say my child is sick and needs help. And so, you know, I'm putting up like a GoFundMe thing, and in support of that, I share medical information on this child.
Okay, that's actually problematic. That is problematic.
No, because I mean, I know that, yes, there's that issue of, okay, then the person sharing has consented. But if you look at a lot of our laws, this requires express written consent. So it's probably something that Facebook must start thinking about around how do you then, because if just as you are blocking, you know, or limiting copyright related issues, and you have tools to pick it up, I think it's very important to have tools that will pick it up, so that in that case, if somebody has to give that express, you know, consent that, oh yes, I am doing this, I'm approving this for A, B, C, and D reasons, you have something to show. But it's something that I have noticed anyway, that I thought, you know, just came to mind as well. Our last question for the day. So you should be happy. I'm not harassing you anymore. Apart from being the only one having access to my account, does anyone else have the mandate to access my personal information?
Okay, so I'm not sure what that angle is. If you give someone your password, clearly they will be able to access your account. But there's also an option that we give of, I think, what's it called? Like a memorial.
Is it where when somebody has died? Or
exactly. Yeah. So you can designate someone so that when you pass away, the person can take over your account, right? Of course, you have to, you know, be able to show that the person has passed away. You can't just like.
But where is that in the settings?
Honestly, I don't recall. I don't recall. Okay, I can look for that and share it with you. But I know it's something that originally wasn't there. But when we increasingly started to get requests to say this person has passed away, I want to be able to access, you know, we then decided to bring up that feature. So that's also a possibility. Other than that, it's only whoever has your password that can access your account.
I have one last question, and it's
that was the last question, Teki.
It was the most, no, this is my personal question, right? And it's the most difficult, because we're talking about people owning their privacy and awareness and all of that. But we live on a continent where majority of us may not necessarily speak the key languages, right? Arabic, English, French, Portuguese, and the like, okay? The key languages that we know around. How are we making Facebook accessible, especially in the indigenous languages, and some of these policies? How are we engaging? Are there plans to do that? Or as usual, we have been abandoned?
I mean, you'll be surprised that you can have Facebook in a lot of local African languages. In Kenya,
really?
Rwanda.
My language, I haven't seen it in Ghana.
No, I don't know about Ghana, but in Akan is Ghanaian, right?
It's one of the numerous dialects. Well, not dialects, languages that we have.
Yeah,
yes.
We have,
and even Akan, we only have three. There are like 5 more languages there. So
I mean, so I don't obviously know them, but if you check in our settings, you can check and see the languages that exist. And there's a whole host of them, yes.
Really?
You'll find Zulu,
We're in the settings.
Okay, so
because I'll make a case for Ga language.
okay,
I'm very
just
biased.
make sure it's not there already. It just might be there already.
If
Make
it
sure
is
it's not
there,
there
then I'll get you ice cream the next time I see you. If it's not,
I know I've seen account there. There's Hausa, there's Igbo, there's Yoruba, there is Kinyarwanda, there's Kiswahili, there's BIM.
and are these policies and the privacy checkup also translated in these languages?
Yes, but the privacy policy, I'm not sure if it's in all those languages, but those are languages where you can actually have an experience of the Facebook app. Now, whether every single thing, including the privacy policy, is translated, I don't want to
checkup, the privacy checkup.
Checkup tool, yes, privacy checkup tool, and engaging on Facebook, as an app, yes. For those other extra things,
will be in those languages. Okay.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I really need to see if that is there because I haven't seen it and I'd like to experience it. I'm switching languages to my local language. So
that is if it's there. You need to check and make sure it's there.
If it's not there, I feel discriminated against.
But I mean, think about it. In our region, we have so many languages. Like how it's not.
But we have to be fair to everybody.
So if there are 1 million languages, we must have everything in 1 million languages.
Of course.
Okay.
That's fair. On that note, Lola, thank you. Thank you so much. I've had so much fun. I think we should be doing this more often and then trying as much as possible to engage. And I'm hoping that ADRH can carry this forward. Probably we'll look at also engaging on other platforms as well and to find out a lot more. I'm very excited that we're ending on this note on owning privacy on one of the platforms that has, some of Africa's largest population based. And so thank you very much for joining us. And we hope that the next time we invite you, you will come. And possibly next time you need to give us a French speaking person so that we can have French and maybe some of the other languages. And then also the local, maybe 1 local or 2 local language sessions as well.
So who says I can do? So I speak fluent Yoruba. Who says I can't do it in Yoruba? Who says I can't?
No, I don't speak Yoruba, so you probably have to train me. I only know Oya in Yoruba because
that's even wrong. There's something like Oya. It's Oya.
Oya, but we also have Oya in my language. We're supposed to have Yoruba roots. So yeah, I had my Yoruba name, but forgot about it. But yeah.
It's been a pleasure, Teki. Thank you so much for having me.
Pleasure is all ours. And thank you for having us. And thank you very much. We'll come back to you soon, possibly on another platform. And remember, keep it private and all the controls are in your hands. So try to use as many of the controls that are out there. Thank you and have a good Friday evening if you're in Accra, like me, or wherever you are. Sleep well and be good. Bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.